In this tutorial, we'll take a look at Stabilize 3D Match Move. This is a truly outstanding tool that helps you do totally amazing things. It works with Projection 3D, and it also works with any other 3D plugin you have installed in After Effects. For example, you can use it with Element 3D. So with this tool, you can stabilize motion in your video, create a vertigo effect, or add a character to your 3D scene and animate your camera regardless of the camera that captured that character. So let's see how it works. And we'll start with some simple things first. So we have a footage here. Let's select and create a comp. And this is a footage of a cyclist filmed from a drone. Let's take a look at it. As you can see, the drone makes a sharp left turn at some point, and that doesn't look very smooth. Let's take a look again. See? So our task here is to stabilize the camera and try to achieve a smoother movement. Okay, let's do something about it. First, we'll have to track the camera. All right. And then we need to select these points and create camera and null. So let's move forward and select points from the middle of the video so that created null remains in the frame as long as possible. Good. Let's take it from here. Select these points on the road. And then with a right click, set ground plane and origin. And then we'll just go ahead and create null and camera. All right, I think that looks great. This is what I've been talking about. This is our null object, and it's in the frame almost all the time. And it only leaves the frame at the end. And now if we select points at the beginning of the video, then the created null would quickly leave the frame. But that's not exactly what we want to happen, okay? So now I'll select all of these three objects, camera, null, and the footage, and stabilize 3D match move. All right, that's done. Now let's disable helper grid and unparent movie camera from 3D tracker. Choose none. And look, now we have a video footage moving along the Z, sort of simulating the movement of a drone. And we also have a static movie camera. And the reason we need it is because we should clearly follow the video and keep it in the frame all the time. So I'll select movie camera and 3D tracker camera. I'll mark advanced and tool window and make sure we're on the first frame and click OK next to copy keyframe from 3D tracker camera properties. Now I'll go to the end of the video, although not the very end of it, somewhere over here. And again, click OK next to copy keyframes from 3D tracker. Great. Let's check it out again. All right, as you can see, now the video no longer moves along the Z. Our camera now follows the drone perfectly well. It now flies straight, and as it attempts to imitate the movement, when the drone makes a sharp left, we get those kind of black areas there. And obviously we should fix that. So I'll click U, open keys that we've created. Let's see when the black areas appear. Okay, so now move to the first frame and using camera position values, move it closer to the video footage. You should do this on the keys you've created previously. You shouldn't do this with the new keys. Great, let's check again. As you can see, now the camera keeps the video in the frame all the time. There are no more any of those black areas. All right, time to render. Excellent. No more sharp turns, only smooth and beautiful camera movement. So this is how you can fix those things now. And that's just great. Let's compare now. This is the original video. And this is our new stabilized, beautiful rendering. And we can actually also stabilize it with the standard After Effects tool, just to see the difference. So as you can see, the movement isn't as sharp as it used to be, but you can still notice the movement. And once again with matchmove, pretty awesome. All right, done with that. Now let's create a camera dolly zoom effect, or the vertigo effect as we also like to call it. So we'll take another footage with this beautiful looking girl and create a new comp. In the original video, the camera gradually moves away from the girl. And now our task is to ensure that it remains at the same distance from her face. And like we did before, we first need to track our camera. Select a few points on her forehead and set ground plane and origin, and also create a null in camera. All right, good. Now select all, camera, null, and the footage, and stabilize 3D matchmove. Disable that. Unparent movie camera, choose none, and let's pre-render and have a look. As you can see, the girl is no longer moving away from the camera. She doesn't move, only the background moves. You can apply this effect not only at the beginning of the video, but you can also move away a little bit from the girl and apply the effect again. So simply Ctrl Z a few times to attach movie camera to 3D tracker again, move the time indicator forward, then unparent, choose none, and now this shall be the starting point of the video. Move over to the 5th second. And if we move to the last frame, the video loses quality, so we don't want that to happen. All right, let's pre-render again. There we go. Now let's try and repeat what we did with another footage. In this video, the camera doesn't move away, but rather approaches the girl. We only need the first 7 seconds. Let's see. Cool. Let's track the camera. Now we need to create null and camera. And again, we're tracking points from the middle of the video. So that the null stays in the frame as long as possible. Take the dots from here, right click, set ground plane and origin, create null and camera, and let's check. All right, the null is in the frame. Select camera, null, and footage and click OK. Great. Let's unparent movie camera from the 3D tracker at 1.20 seconds. Then select both. We'll go to Advanced tab and click OK next to Copy keyframes from 3D tracker camera properties. Go to the end and do the same. Now we'll go to Keys and fix those black areas. Make sure that the time indicator is on the first frame. Select camera and move closer to the video along the Z. Also raise along the Y. Something like that. Let's take a look now. And at the end, move the camera a bit closer to the video along the Z. Okay, it's ready. Let's choose the area of the video we need. And let's pre-render. That's pretty impressive stuff, isn't it? Certainly looks very nice. And so this is how, in just a few steps, we get our camera dolly zoom effect, aka the vertigo. So that was easy. And I hope this stuff made sense, nothing complicated. Now let's integrate. Create a new scene, make a comp 9020 by 1080, drag character footage to the comp window, Ctrl-Alt-F to fit the comp size, and then we'll mask our character. Add key on mask path and animate the mask so that it follows the character. And we do all of this to track the camera correctly so that the character movement doesn't interfere with tracking camera movement. Okay, I'll change mask mode to subtract, select footage, pre-compose it, and now let's track our camera. We'll select points to set ground plane and origin, but closer to the character. Create null in camera. Check null. Great. double click on the footage comp, change mask mode to add, apply key light, adjust it a tiny bit. That should be fine. Now, let's open Stabilize 3D matchmove. Select Layers and Stabilize. And let's see. All right, looks like it's fine. Helper grid shows us that the character has been integrated correctly. But you might be like, wait a minute, insert camera can do exactly the same thing. So let me show you. I'll switch to custom. And now, let's check out the magic. The character is in 3D space. It is stabilized, and it looks just like it was taken with a static camera. We can move the camera, we can rotate it, and the character will move properly. The floor won't slip, and it's all fine. And it's like we removed the actual camera movement where the girl was filmed and replaced it with a camera of our own. So if you take a look here, you will see that here the movement is present. And here, it is not. Let me show it to you from a different angle. See? Like it's a 3D model and not a real person. Let me add some primitives to show you how awesome this is. And one more. Look, 3D space, 3D objects, and our character moves between objects. And now it doesn't really matter how the camera moved in real time, because now you can always replace that movement with your own camera. Let's make a chair from this primitive for a girl. So this is like we're working with a 3D model. Okay, good. Now delete those primitives. Let's switch to active view and create some kind of animation. And look, here we have a camera animation that we tracked. But the magic is that here we have a camera with absolutely no keys on it. We can add animation keys and create everything in our own way. So I'll add keys on position and orientation. And with camera tool, I can move it back as much as I want. The beauty is that we don't have to depend on the real camera that we tracked. Clearly, this tool is just outstanding. And when it comes to working with people on the green screen, it just takes it to a completely new level. I can orbit the camera within the reasonable distance, of course, and we can adjust perspective and find the best angle. And we can also get as close as we want. And here's the camera with all the keys that we've tracked. And the second camera, we can animate the way we want without worrying about spoiling the keys. See? Totally different movement. Okay, now let's remove those keys in the middle. And you know what? I can also change the camera's focal length. I can set it to 15 millimeters, for example, and it won't do any damage. So you no longer need to worry about which lens to shoot with or whether the perspective looks right. You don't need to reshoot anything. Almost anything can be fixed with this tool. Adjust it and it shall work great. Now I'll try to create another camera movement. Let's imagine that the character is on the top of a building and the camera from below sort of raises up and approaches her. And we get ourselves a completely different animation. Amazing, right? Okay, now have a look at this. Here we have a familiar interior scene, and here's the footage of the character on the green screen. The camera's already tracked, the key lights applied and masked. So we have a camera, we have null and footage. I'll select all of that, open the tool. And now we have to integrate our character here in this room. To do that, we first choose the master scene where we want to integrate. That's our room. Okay. And that's it. The character has been integrated. Now I can go to master scene and adjust through world transform controller. First, we'll reduce the scale. Adjust position and orientation. Let's have a look now. Well, that's great, I think. Now let's select movie camera, open position values, add key, orientation values, add key. Select camera tool and adjust the scene. Find the best angle. Great, liking that. From this angle, we can see the whole room. Go to the end, adjust the angle here, and move closer to the person. Well done. I think that looks great. Let's pre-render that. Yep, looks quite different now. Now we no longer depend on the camera that was used to shoot the girl, and we can easily adjust the angle and get some pretty decent results. Cool, right? But what if I tell you that we can do even better with this? If you look closer, you will see that the camera sort of shakes for a moment. See? Let's fix that. I'll select movie camera, mark advanced, and now let's remove the movie camera parent. You can see that it's parented to the 3D tracker camera. So click OK, and let's check and see if it needs any further adjustments after what we just did. Move a little forward. Check it out again. Okay, now it looks very nice. Let's switch to full screen. As you can see, there are no sudden movements. The camera moves very smoothly, and we get to choose the angle ourselves, which is awesome. Could it be any better? Who knows? So I think this is absolutely amazing. Now, let's consider another example. And you may remember this scene from the tutorial we did on the third version. This is what our animation looked like with the camera created by 3D Camera Tracker. See, we couldn't move the character, zoom in or out. We could only scale and move the world, but the camera is out of reach. Now, if you take a look back at this scene, you can see the difference. Now we can move the character, bring it up closer or move it further away, and everything will work perfectly well. The ground won't slide, and that's just incredible. And what's also great is that now I can also move the camera where I want, and everything will work just fine. Look, I'll show it to you right now. See? It works perfectly fine. All because the character stabilized and converted to 3D. Look at the girl here standing. Now, when we move her across the scene, the camera she was captured with moves along with the girl. And all this now is possible thanks to this awesome tool. Let's check out another example, and now we'll use Element 3D. Here we have a character, we have a tracked camera and a null. And now let's select them and do the match move. Put off the grid, create a new solid. We'll call it element. Click OK. Let's put this layer at the bottom of all the layers. Then go to Effect, Video Copilot, and choose Element 3D. We'll go to Scene Setup. Select Chessboard from the starter pack. Open Group 1. Particle Look. Increase size. Something like that. Great. Now we'll go to Utilities to generate position for the character and create a null. All right, now I'll just copy the null position, paste it on the camera controller. Let's see. It works. Now we can select our movie camera and create animation. All right, what else? You can also move the chessboard in space. All you gotta do at this point is to generate position again. Delete this one. Generate and create a null. Copy and paste position on the camera controller layer. And voila, works all right. Let's go to the render settings, camera cutoff. Here we'll increase camera far plane so that the far side doesn't disappear. Good, now it's fine. Let's add keys on movie camera and create some kind of movement. We can also open camera options and animate zoom. Add a key. Reduce this value here. Then go all the way to the end and bring the camera closer to the girl. Let's check it out now. Make this one easy ease. And see what we get. Well, that's pretty interesting. So you can really see how you can experiment and create some very unusual things. And so finally, here in this last example, we see a scene with a modern looking style type of villa by the sea. And this scene was actually made with Element 3D. Here I can put our actress on the terrace and look what a gorgeous camera movement we have. See? See where it starts? That's great, right? It looks like we did an actual crane shot for this one. So there wasn't anything unusual about the original camera movement when they were filming the girl. But now that we compare it with the camera movement in this scene, it just looks incredible. Already you can picture all those amazing things you can do with this awesome tool. All right, looks like that's about it. Go ahead and improve your skills. Take them to the next level. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.